Did you know that 2 million businesses worldwide use GoHighLevel as their CRM? And the majority of those are small to medium-sized, service-based businesses still manually handling their inbound and outbound phone calls. In a report by Gartner, which is a very well-known consultancy firm, they said by 2027, 90% of businesses are going to be using AI voice agents in some sort of capacity. And those 2 million GoHighLevel businesses fall underneath that category, which leaves a massive opportunity to go and sell AI voice agent services to these businesses. Now, since they are service-based businesses, a lot of those businesses are dealing with appointment scheduling, whether it's people calling in or them calling out. So they need voice agents which can book appointments directly into their GoHighLevel calendars. And in this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. If you are new here, my name is Matt. I'm the founder of FutureFlow AI, where we help service-based businesses implement AI voice and text agent systems so that they can capture, qualify, and convert more leads. In the last 12 months, we've helped our clients generate over $500,000 in additional revenue. And I've also personally taught over 2,000 business owners and AI enthusiasts on how to build these systems for themselves. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the 3 main things that you need to know to book appointments directly into GoHighLevel with your voice agent. The first is going to be how to structure your prompt to successfully book appointments. The second is the 2 functions that you need to create so that you can actually book appointments in the calendar. And then third is the end-to-end automation which makes this all happen. It's how we connect our voice agent to our GoHighLevel so that we can successfully book appointments in the calendar. As always, everything shown in this video, the prompt, the functions, the end-to-end automations will be available completely for free down below in my Voice Agent Vault. The Voice Agent Vault is my free resource hub filled with all my prompts, templates, automations, and tips and tricks that I've learned along the way of building these voice agents for the last 12 months. Like I said, it's completely for free and you can find the link down below. So with the introduction out the way, let's jump into Retell and I'll show you how to properly structure your prompt. This is an inbound voice agent for a dental practice and its whole purpose is to answer the phone, collect details, and book appointments. In this video, I am only going into the appointment scheduling side of the prompt, but if you're looking for a video to understand the full voice agent prompt, then my last video, the easiest way to build an AI voice agent, is one that I highly recommend that you watch. In there, I go through all the different sections of the prompt, what it means, and how you can adapt it to any business. So if you're new to prompting, I'd highly recommend that you watch that video. But if you're here just for the GoHighLevel appointment scheduling, then I'm going to get into how we actually structure our prompt to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the section of the prompt where we actually book the appointments and use the functions. And you will see that we actually use 2 functions. So we have our get availability function and we have our schedule appointment function. Now, the reason that we actually need to use 2 functions is because if you were to combine these functions into one function, what happens is the AI actually gets confused. For example, if a caller calls up, they're trying to book the appointment and they say, okay, I'm available on Tuesday. What's going to happen is the AI is just going to go and find the first available time and then automatically book them in. And to be honest, that's not how humans would normally do it. What would normally happen is someone would say, okay, I'm available on Tuesday. And then the human operator would go into Tuesday and say, it looks like we have 10 a.m., 12 a.m. or 3 p.m. available. And then the person would choose from those times. But when you combine those 2 functions together, the AI doesn't really understand that and it just books the appointment straight away, which then leaves callers confused and, they need to reschedule and cancellations and all that sort of stuff, which we don't want to get into. So to make things easier for ourselves, we actually separate the functions into 2. So we have our get availability, which obviously checks the calendar availability and then returns back the times that are available. And then we have our schedule appointment function, which actually goes and books that into the calendar. So with that out of the way, let's get into the get calendar availability function. Now, when I'm setting this up, I like to set this up in a very specific way. And my whole goal here is to get the AI to pinpoint one day that it can check in the calendar. And I do that for a very good reason. And the reason for that is because when I was building voice agents in the beginning, what was happening was that someone would say, I can do any time next week. And what the agent would then do, it would go and check the calendar from Monday to Friday. But if your calendar has a lot of available slots, the function call which goes to check the calendar from Monday to Friday is going to return back hundreds of slots. And when that happens, the AI gets confused and sometimes it doesn't even reply. So the phone just goes silent, the automation breaks, and it's not fun for anyone. So the workaround that I solved for is basically just to get the agent in conversation to get the user to choose just one specific day. So if you can see on the prompt here, we say, ask the caller what day would work best for them to come in for their appointment. And then we have conditional formatting, which is telling the agent what to do for different sort of scenarios. So if the caller gives multiple days, ask them to choose just one day. If the caller is unsure, suggest finding the earliest available time that works for them. And only then, once you have a specific date, use the get availability function to check the availability for that date. And then just say something before running the function, say something natural like, let me just check the schedule for that day. And then when the automation returns back the available times, let's just say they said, I'm available on Tuesday. The agent would then return back the available times on Tuesday and then the user can choose. If the user says something like, I want Tuesday at 10 a.m., the AI will actually be able to read the available slots. And if 10 a.m. is available, the AI will say, yep, we have 10 a.m. available. But if it's not available, then the AI will present 2 to 3 options that is as close to the time that they requested. So then the rest of the prompt, if the caller's requested date and time is available, say that time is available. If the caller's requested just a date and agrees to one of the suggested free slots, then move to the booking appointment. So what that means is if they've just said Tuesday, then the AI will turn back and say 10, 12 or 3, and then they say 12 and then move on to the next stage. But if the caller can't do any of the suggested free slots, for example, if they asked for Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we don't have 10 a.m. available and we say, we have our 11 or 12 available, but they say, no, I can't do 11 or 12, then what we're asking the agent to do now is basically say to the user, okay, what other day can you do? Or what other day and time can you do? And then we just use the get availability function all over again and go through that process all over again, pretty much. Once we have the date and time which we are available and the user is available, then the schedule appointment process is very, very simple. Once the caller has confirmed that the suggested date and time works for them, use the schedule appointment function to secure the appointment in the calendar. And then the AI will just send the schedule appointment function into NAN, and then NAN will book it directly into our GoHighLevel. So now you sort of understand how the prompt structure works. I'm going to go into the functions and how to actually set those up. So you can see here we have our get availability and our schedule appointment function. So I'm just going to go into our get availability function, and you can see here that we have a description. So the description is literally just describing to the AI what this function is doing and when we are going to use it. We have our API endpoint, which is where we're sending the function call or the information to so that it can be processed to go and book the appointment. So we actually want to send that to our NAN webhook, and this is our production URL. So really easy to get. You just come into your NAN workflow, you have your webhook here, you double click, put it to production URL, hit that, which copies it, and then you come back to Retell, come in here and paste that in there like that. Now, if we come down to the JSON parameters, this is the part where people start to get a bit flustered and they're like, oh, I don't understand JSON. I don't know how to structure it. And don't worry, it is completely normal, but it's also very, very simple. The JSON parameters is essentially allowing us to define what pieces of information that we want to send to the automation so that we can perform the action that needs to happen. So for the get availability action, we need to send through a start date to actually check for appointments, and we need to send through a time zone, because if you're dealing, say you are an American business and you're dealing with customers in Central and Eastern time zones, you need to take your user's time zone and then apply that to your calendar so that you can book the relative time in your calendar that matches up with their time zone time. I've not found a good way of describing that, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. Now, the way that Retell sets up, its default is to do it as a JSON. So you have the property, which is just the name of the information that we're sending through. So one property is our start date and the second property is our time zone. So we have the type, which is the type of information that we're sending through. And this is a string because it's just normal text. You can change this to Boolean, you can be a number, like they're the kind of main ones that you use. But for this example, we literally only want start date and time zone. Now, if you're not comfortable with using JSON like this, then you can actually just change it to form. And all you need to do is put in the parameter name, you put in your description, so like a description of the information that you're sending through, and then you have the type as string. And these are both required, so we need to send through this information, so we just tick the required box there. If it's not required, but it's ideal, then you just untick that box, because if it's not required but ideal, the information might not be available to you, so you don't want to force the AI to create information that isn't true, essentially. Then we have our speak during execution, where you can basically tell the agent to say something when it's running this function. So for us, because it's checking the availability, we want to say something nice and natural, which is, let me check that for you. So once we set that up, we can just hit update. And now we've updated our get availability. And this, it's very, very similar for schedule appointment. So we have our name, we have our description, we have our API endpoint, which is the same endpoint that we use for the get availability, this one here. And then we have our parameters. Now for this parameter, we want to send through a bit more information because we're actually booking an appointment. And the reason we want to send through a bit more information is because within GoHighLevel, we can't actually book an appointment with someone if they aren't a contact within our high-level sub account. So if you have a new customer calling in, what you have to do is you actually have to create a contact for that person first before you can book the appointment, which is why we want to send through the full name and the phone number. You can either send through the full name and the phone number or the full name and the email. You just have to have phone or email. That's one of the prerequisites for creating a new contact in HighLevel. We also want to send through the exact start time of when they want their appointment. So the appointment date and time, which we have agreed upon. And then we want to send through the time zone as well for the same reason that I mentioned before. We also have a speak during execution. So booking that in for you now. And then a speak after execution. So we just want the agent to, say something to confirm to the user that their appointment has been booked. So once we have that, we can hit update and we have our get availability and schedule appointment functions all set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly test the functions with our manual chat here. And then once I've tested it, we'll have some live data that we can use in the NAN, where I can talk you through how the NAN automation side of things works. Okay, so I've just simulated a conversation with our voice agent using Retell's test chat feature. And you can see that it's asked, how can I help you today? I'd like to book for a checkup. It's taken my name, my phone number, and then it's asked me when I would like an appointment. So I was being a bit difficult and I said anytime this week. And what it's done is it's went and found the earliest available times for an appointment. So then it's returned back saying we have Tuesday 4:30, 5:30, or Wednesday 1:30, or 3. And then, took it a bit step further and said, what about Friday? It's went and checked Friday for me as well and said we've got several openings at 3, 3:30, and 4. And then I've said Friday 3 p.m. works fine. Booking that in for you now. Scheduled the appointment, so it's sent through the exact start time, my full name, my phone number, my time zone, and we can see that the tool result is that the booking is confirmed, and the agent has now confirmed that as well. So it said, perfect, Matt, you're booked in for your checkup on Friday, October 24th at 3 p.m. You'll receive a confirmation shortly. So now that our appointment has successfully booked in, we will have some test data that we can use in NAN, so I can explain how all that side of things works. So let's jump into NAN. So here we are inside of our NAN automation for scheduling appointments directly in HighLevel. And you can see that we've split it up between the get availability and the schedule appointment function. Now, before we go into the live data side of things, I just want to explain, what's actually going on here so that you guys can follow along and understand what's going on. So obviously we have our webhook where the information is coming into. So our function calls are coming into this webhook here, and then we're going to pass it along to our switchboard. Now the switchboard is actually really, really simple, and it's basically just how we separate between get availability functions and schedule appointment functions. So in our switchboard, we have the rules as the JSON body name contains get availability. And then for the schedule appointment, the JSON body name contains schedule appointment. So now we're basically just telling NAN if a function name is get availability, go this way, and if it's schedule appointment, go this way. As you can see, for both of my NAN automations for get availability and schedule appointment, you can see that I have this set variables module. And to be honest, you don't really need to use this, but I like to use it to keep my data nice and organized. But it's also really good for when you want to scale up your operations, because when you are setting up these automations, you have your HTTP requests. So this is the HTTP request that we use to actually go and check GoHighLevel in our specific calendar for what times we have available, like when are the free slots. And as you can see in the HTTP request, there is multiple pieces of information that we need to fill in for it to be able to go and check the free slots. So you can see here that we need to put in our calendar ID. You have to put in your start date, your end date, your time zone, your API key, which is called your private integration token. And it can be, if you were to do this for, 5, 6 different projects, it starts to get a bit tedious. But what you can do is you can put in this set variable module, and all you need to do is you come in and you change the details in your set variable module. So then when you come to setting up for a new client, you can just copy and paste the whole automation, and all you need to do is come into your set variable module, change your authorization to the new private integration token, the new calendar ID, the new time zone, and then the start date and end date will essentially fix themselves, and you can create a lot more scalable operations. So I would highly recommend that you use the set variable module, and like I said before, you have access to this exact automation directly in the Voice Agent Vault. So you can literally just copy and paste exactly what I am using. But if we take a look at our set variable module, the first value is our authorization. So this is essentially our API key for our GoHighLevel account. Now, obviously mine's blurred out because I don't want to share what my API key is for HighLevel, but you can find your own API key under private integrations, and then you just create a new private integration token essentially. We have the calendar ID. So for the specific calendar that we want to check the availability for, we put in the calendar ID. And as you can see, I've actually hard coded my time zone, because for this example, it's a dentist, they have a physical location, they're going to be booking appointments in the same time zone every single time. So I've just hard coded the time zone here. But if you wanted to put in the time zone which you're getting from the function call, I'll show you how to do that when we look at the live data example. The start date here is, I'll know this looks a little bit confusing, but let me explain what's happening here. When we send through the start date, we are sending through the start date in like a written format. So we have the date, the time, and this is also like 14th of February, 2025 or something like that. But when computers want to check times and, access APIs and check calendars, they don't really like to do it in written format. They like to do it in big number format. So what this function is actually doing is it's taking the start date, which we've given to NAN in a written format, and it's transferring it into a big number format called Unix timestamp. And that way it just makes the AI and the computer's job a lot easier to check specific dates and times. And with this function specifically, what we're doing is we're sending through a start date. So it might just be the 22nd of October, 2025. And what it's doing is it's taking the start date and then it's calculating what is the exact 12 a.m. Unix timestamp for that date. So what that means is we have the start date, so 12 AM on the 22nd of October in Unix timestamp format, and then we use that to calculate the end date. So we calculate what is the 12 AM of the 23rd of October. So essentially what the computer is doing is it's calculating the big number format of 12 AM on the 22nd for 12 AM on the 23rd, so that we can check all the availability between that specific time period, i.e. the day of the 22nd. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously it makes a lot more sense when I show you the sort of live data, and I can actually pull up a Unix timestamp calculator when we get there. But once we've mapped all of our information correctly, we then jump into our get free slots, and all of the information is mapped automatically for us with the automation that I've obviously set up. So our calendar ID is automatically mapped, our start date is automatically mapped, our end date, our private integration token, all of that is already done for you. So when that information comes through, essentially what happens is it will either have free slots or it won't have any free slots for that day. And the way that we can determine whether it does or it doesn't is because the output will have this one word, slots. So if it does have free slots available, the word slots will be somewhere in the output. And if that word slots isn't there, then we know that there's no available slots. So we have an if else function that says, if the word slots is there, then go true and return back the available slots to the agent. So return back all of the free slots. And if it's false, i.e. there's no available slots, then return back to say, please suggest a new date to check for availability. So we're just telling the agent there's no free slots, ask the person if they could do any other day, pretty much. So if we come into our get availability function with some live data, I can explain how the different pieces of information all work within the automation. So if we go into our set variables, our authorization token is blanked out, obviously. We have our calendar ID, and you can see that I've obviously hard coded the time zone. But if we go down to the start date, what this expression is doing, like I said, it's taking the start date, which we've passed through, and then it's creating the 12 AM Unix timestamp for that specific day. So if we just look at the inputs table on the left, we can just categorize the information directly coming from the function if we go to webhook and scroll down. So we can see that this is the get availability function, our args is our properties, and you can see here that the first property is start date and the second property is time zone. So it's using this specific property start date to calculate the Unix timestamp. So if I just take this Unix timestamp number, copy it, and go to my Unix timestamp calculator, enter it in there, convert, and you can see that it's converted it to Friday, the 24th of October, 12 AM. And then if we do the same for our end date, it should be Saturday, 12 AM or thereabouts. So I just copy that, paste it. Yeah, it's got Saturday the 25th at 1 AM. So it's an hour off, but it does exactly what we need it to do. So then if we follow that information down into the get free slots, then it's mapped all the information that we need it to. So it's got our calendar ID in here, it's got our start date, our end date, it's got our time zone, it's got our bearer token in there, and then it's produced us the free slots for that specific day. So if we can see, the free slots are 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5:30, and 7:30. So then those free slots, because the output included the word slots here, it's then received as true, and then we respond back to the agent with all of the free slots. So the agent can see what free slots are available and then relay that back to the user on the other end of the phone. So essentially the HTTP request is the module which is actually communicating with GoHighLevel, and then we are just returning back that information to our Retell agent using this respond to webhook node here. Now if we come down to our schedule appointment function, very, very similar setup. In our set variables, we have our location ID, we have our private integration token, we have our calendar ID, and we have the start time, the phone number, and the full name of the person that's booking the appointment. And the way that we find that is by going into the webhook, which received the information. We scroll down to find the information that we're getting from the function call. So our function is called schedule appointment, and these are the different properties which we created. So in my example, I said, 3 o'clock is perfect. So it's put through the start time as 3 o'clock on the 24th of the 10th, 2025. It's got my name, it's got my phone number, and it's got my time zone as well. So all you need to do when you're doing this for your own automation, you actually won't need to do this because I've already set it up for you. But if you did want to do it, all you need to do is drag and drop this value over here like that, and then it's automatically mapped to your set variables module. So now that we've mapped all of those successfully, we want to go to our search GoHighLevel module. Now, what this module is doing is it's actually searching our GoHighLevel CRM to see if this contact is already an existing contact. Because when we're booking appointments into HighLevel, the person has to be a contact before we can actually book them in. So instead of creating duplicate contacts, we want to search GoHighLevel to see if this person is already a contact. So for this, it's a post, we're doing a contact search, and all we're doing is we're using our API key, and then we're using the JSON body to search a specific sub-account, so our location ID, and then we're using the phone number as the unique identifier to find if this person is a contact already, because you can actually set up in your GoHighLevel to not allow duplicate contacts and use the phone number as that unique identifier. So essentially, we can search our GoHighLevel for one specific number. If there is a contact there, only one contact will show up. So once the search GoHighLevel module has run, either it will find someone or it won't. Now, in here, we can basically work out if it's found a contact, because if a contact ID exists, then there is a contact there. And if a contact ID doesn't exist, then obviously there's no contact there. In our scenario, a contact did exist. So we go up to our create appointment function, where we actually go and then book that customer in for an appointment. So similar to before, we have our API key here. We have our calendar ID, so the calendar which we're booking the appointment in, the location ID, so the sub-account which we're booking the appointment in, and then the contact ID, so the actual contact that we're booking into the calendar. We also have our start time as well, because we need to book in for a specific time. Once that is all successfully booked in, it will have updated in your GoHighLevel, and then we just want to return back the information to our voice agent to say that the appointment has been successfully booked. If the appointment isn't successfully booked, then the appointment ID won't exist. And then we come down to this respond to webhook, which basically sends an error message to our voice agent so that the voice agent can say over the phone, like, there's been an issue, or let's try that again, or something like that. If there isn't a contact, then like I said before, we have to create a contact before we can actually book them in for an appointment. So we actually want to create a create contact module here. And all we need to create a new contact in GoHighLevel is a name and number. So that's all we're literally using here. So if we scroll down, you can see we have our private integration token again, i.e. our API key. And then we have our JSON body, which we're sending through to HighLevel to actually create the contact. Within the JSON body, we're actually using our set variables, which we mapped earlier to actually create the contact. So all I've done is I've taken the full name and I've just drag and dropped it over here like that. Obviously, since we didn't follow this path, it's not going to show up green because we've not had to use this information. We're using location ID to tell GoHighLevel which sub-account we want to create the contact in, and then we're using the phone number to actually go and create the contact. So name, number, location ID. Then once that contact has been created, we then do the exact same process as before, where we create the appointment with all of the information below. So we have our API key up here. We have the calendar ID mapped with our set variables. We have our location ID, our contact ID, and our start time as well. And exactly the same as the other automation above, if it's successfully booked, we send back that confirmation to our AI agent. And if it's not successfully booked, we send that back to our AI agent as well. Now that we understand how we set up the N-A-N automation, we understand how to set up our Retell functions and we also understand how to structure our voice agent prompt, we now have everything that we need to book appointments directly into GoHighLevel with our AI voice agent. So with that, let's just do a quick final test to make sure that it's all working as it should. Okay, so let's give our Bright Dental agent a call just now.
Hello, you've reached Bright Dental. My name's Sarah. How can I help you today?
Hey Sarah, could I book an appointment for a checkup, please?
Of course, I'd be happy to help you book a checkup. Could I please have your full name, and would you mind spelling it for me to make sure I get it right?
Yeah, it's Matt Cohn, spelled C-O-H-N.
Thank you. Just to confirm, your name is Matt Cohn, spelled C-O-H-N. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Could I please have your phone number, and I'll repeat it back to make sure I've got it right?
Yeah, it's 07538 123 456.
Thank you, Matt. Just to confirm, your phone number is 07538 123 456. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. Thank you. What day would work best for you to come in for your checkup?
Do you have any availability on Thursday afternoon?
Let me just check the schedule for Thursday afternoon. We have a few Thursday afternoon slots available, 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and 4 p.m. Would any of those work for you?
Can you say those again for me, please? So you can see that the function call has happened up here.
Of course. The available times on Thursday afternoon are 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and 4 p.m. Which one would you prefer?
1 p.m. is perfect.
Booking that in for you now. Perfect, Matt. I've got you booked in for your checkup on Thursday, the 23rd of October at 1 p.m. You'll receive a confirmation shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Thank you for choosing Bright Smile Dental Practice.
Nope, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so it didn't automatically update, but if we go to our Thursday, we can see our appointment there, all nice and booked. So that is the end of today's video. Thank you very much if you made it this far. I hope you got a ton of value. And just to recap what we went over, I've shown you how to structure your prompt to successfully book appointments directly into your GoHighLevel and why it's crucial that you actually need two functions, your get availability and your schedule appointment. I then showed you how to actually create those functions within Retell and connect them to your N8N. And then we went into the N8N and showed you how to connect N8N to GoHighLevel so that you can successfully check for available appointments and then successfully book those appointments as well. If you got some value from this video, then please do leave a like, leave a comment. All the support is very much appreciated. And if you want to see more videos like this, where I'm building AI voice and text agent systems within GoHighLevel, then please hit the subscribe button down below, as there'll be lots more content on that coming very, very soon. But until the next time, I want to say thank you and see you later.